In the moonlit embrace of rural Victoria, the decadent town of Buckley beats with a hidden heartbeat, the sanctuary of free-willed kindred. An anarch haven since the gold rush, Buckley's shadows hold secrets, its nights untamed. Yet the looming spectre of the Camarilla now threatens the delicate balance. As long-forgotten feuds simmer, a group of neonates bound by loyalty and survival find themselves at the epicenter of a power struggle. The Camarilla's tendrils tighten, and Buckley teeters on the brink of open war. Welcome to the dance of shadows in Buckley, where the anarch flame flickers against the encroaching night, a tale of defiance, politics, and the seductive allure of eternal power. This is Creatures Such As We, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition actual play podcast, presented by DM Fiat. I am your storyteller, Dale, or DG, and tonight I shall be your guide through this hidden and treacherous world of darkness. Welcome back, everyone, to Creatures Such As We. Tonight, we continue the sad story of Mickey Mayhew, the Brujah people smuggler who has gone mysteriously missing. Lynette, the toreador with her pulse, with her finger on the pulse of the city's gossip, has told you that he's dead, his haven up for grabs, but she didn't reveal how she's so certain that this is his fate. And so you decided to go and investigate Mickey Mayhew's haven, a run-down apartment block out in the sticks, out in the outskirts of Buckley, right there on the edge of where the primeval outback meets civilization. And as expected, you found his haven completely empty, save for an ambush left behind for anyone who would come looking for him. 2 unusually large dingoes hopped up on vampire blood who tried to dispatch you and were quickly dealt with in turn. A quick search of the haven revealed no signs of Mickey Mayhew himself, but an unmistakable clue that may lead you to his whereabouts, or at least to his last known location. An old phone under his bed, loaded with correspondence between him and a woman by the name of Sarah Dassey, who, thanks to Gil, you were able to determine was Mickey Mayhew's ghoul. That correspondence stated that she would be waiting at Southern Cross gas station out in the outback, far away from the intrigues of both the Anarchs and the Camarilla, waiting to plan the next moves with her master. And that's where we left off. You're all standing in the apartment. There's mess all over the floor, things scattered off the kitchen counter, a broken window that's had a unusually large dingo kited through it. And before you have a chance to even discuss what to do next, I'd like everybody to go ahead and make me a wits awareness check to start the night. And Barry, if you have your heightened senses activated, you may add your Auspex as extra dice.
I should go get dice. I'll be right back.
Good idea.
Wait, do I add Auspex or just one?
Actually, you add your Auspex. All your Auspex stats. I read up on it.
Hey. Okay, that's very different.
Definitely useful, though.
Under 2, that's right.
Okay, so I got a 7, but that's...
Oof.
Messy crit. We'll get to that. Unless you want to spend the willpower to reverse it.
I got a clean 6 here.
Clean 6.
I'll spend a willpower.
Negate that messy crit. Yeah, you just mark it as a superficial damage. And how did Gil go?
Gil just got a 2.
2. Gil, you're sliding your phone back into your pocket. You've just gotten off the phone with Abby. You're looking around the room, surveying the carnage of that short, sweet fight, and you're not quite paying attention to anything else. You're about to congratulate Robert on that fantastic move he did, pirouetting at the last moment, kiting the dingo through the window. But as you turn to look at him, you see his eyes go wide. He freezes where he stands and then disappears, obfuscating himself to hide. Meanwhile, Barry and Wisteria, you hear the unmistakable sound of shuffling footsteps outside in the hall, making their way down the corridor towards the apartment. Heavy footfalls, heavy work boots sliding along the dirty floor outside, moving with purpose.
On your guard, there's someone outside. Coming this way.
What kind of ceiling do we have here?
You look up and you're seeing a rather dirty, cracked plaster ceiling. Looks like it's made out of the same stuff as the walls. Drywall ceiling. You could probably put any number of blunt objects through it fairly easily.
Wisteria slides into the shadowy corner and pretty much works her way up the wall. Bracing herself, nothing supernatural, just parkour and the fact she is currently light as a feather.
Yeah. Protean will do that. Scrambles up onto the kitchen counter, up onto the range hood, and crouches in the corner just under the lip of the ceiling. Meanwhile, Barry's ready, hands on the hilt at his waist, ready to draw the gun and fire at any enemy. And then the footsteps come to a stop right outside the door. The door isn't fully shut. It's still open a little bit from when you came into the apartment. None of you shut the door behind you.
That's correct.
And the footsteps stop, and yet, looking through that half-ajar door, you see nobody standing out in the hallway. And then, as if pushed by an unseen hand, the door begins to creak slowly wider open.
Waiting and hiding.
Waiting and hiding? Barry? And Gil, at this point, you would hear the door opening. You whirl around just in time to see the others scrambling to hide, to ready themselves.
Gil kind of like look at Wisteria having like vanished into the corner and look to Barry as like, should I just launch? like, like clenches his fist and like looks at the door.
Wisteria shakes her head and points at her eyes and points at the door.
Barry, what about you? Is your gun out, pointed, drawn at the door?
Sorry, my Discord cut out. What exactly is coming through the door? Or...
Nothing by the looks of it. There's no one standing on the other side, but the door is slowly creaking open as if someone's pushing it slowly open. Mysteria's scrambled to hide, and Gil's given you a look with a raised eyebrow, as if suggesting that he should just pile drive the door and whoever happens to be coming through.
Okay, I'll just hold a hand up to Gil to motion to steady and get ready for whatever comes out the door, and I'll just bring the gun out, not leveling it at the door, but getting ready to pop it up in case. So it's in my hand, not in my holster.
It's in your hand, not quite fully trained on the door, but ready at a moment's notice. The door creaks. Another centimetre open, another centimetre. And then you hear the unmistakable sound of a heavy boot falling on the floorboards as someone enters the room and begins to walk right into the kitchen. Gil and Barry, I'd like both of you to go ahead and make me composure plus intimidate rolls.
Okay. One success.
One success.
Oh, no, that's out of 6 dice.
Hey,
Wow, Gil's
That's
here,
how
don't
do
worry.
we- Yeah, maybe we can get 2.
Yeah,
yep, I got 2 successes.
2 successes. So, whoever's stepping into the apartment, they're seeing Barry, his gun raised, but without something there, without a concrete figure to aim at, it perhaps might seem obvious to any would-be assailant that he has a disadvantage. But Gil, your eyes narrowed, quiet, listening, your fists clenched. Whoever's entered the kitchen doesn't quite fancy their chances with you ready to just charge. And then suddenly, they unobfuscate themselves, and standing right there in the kitchen, in front of the door, hands raised, is the man calling himself Simon Burke, or Simon Estler, the priest with the long, slouching Akubra hat, thick black trench coat, and gleaming golden crucifix hanging from rosary beads around his neck, his mouth open in a surprised "Oh." It's you, and you're all still standing. He says, "The Lord has blessed you."
We're still standing. What do you...
Gil's gonna go for him to grab him and throw him into the apartment, like in with us.
Yeah, he's certainly not ready for you. You just rush forwards, grab him by the rosary beads, pull him into the apartment, and kick the door shut. He squirms, looking over his shoulder as you let him down, looking at the door that's now shut, knowing that there's no hope anyone will come running to his aid. He looks up into your eyes, his own eyes wide, And then his eyes flash, Gil. He stares into yours, and he says, "You will not lay a hand on the Lord's servant again."
Gil will look at him and then look to Barry and be like, bullets in hands, buddy. You know about this? About the, his little pets?
He looks around, he sees the smears of blood on the tiles, on the walls, and then he smiles, revealing long, dirty teeth. A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord. And then, as if waiting for a response and realizing that his Bible verses mean nothing to you, he shrugs casually, and he says, "They are not Mickey's pets, nor are they mine, but I suspected they would be here lying in wait, hence why I was preaching on the street corner rather than gaining entry to the apartment myself."
Why did you think they would be here?
He pauses for a moment. He stares at you and he shrugs and he says, "I had a feeling with Mickey's unannounced disappearance and the circumstances surrounding it that perhaps it would be unwise to enter his apartment, that perhaps certain enemies he may have made would be lying in wait for any of his friends or acquaintances." But you get the impression, Barry, with your dots in insight, that he's being rather loose with the truth.
Give it to me straight, Simon. Enough of the pretense. Who do the dingoes belong to?
To the ferals, I believe, he says. It's certainly their way, their ilk, to ghoul animals, wild animals at that, dingoes. He smiles, he says, "But you seem to have made short work of them. I heard the shouts, I heard the gunfire, I was expecting to have to sneak through the commotion while they were busy, see if I could find some clues as to Mickey's whereabouts, and yet lo and behold, I stepped through the door, the dingoes are dispatched, and if I had not made myself known and raised my hands, perhaps I would have drawn your wrath too."
What do the gangrels want with Mickey?
Oh, it's more what he wanted with them, I suppose, he says, hanging his head.
Well, if you're so close to him, out with it.
You know, I assume you've had time to give the apartment a once-over. I presume, based on what Lynette has told you and what you've found, you have an idea what Mickey does, and the specific role he plays in our little Cold War between the Anarchs and the Cam at the moment. He hears the silence, and then he just smiles, baring his teeth, perhaps sensing that he has an opportunity to divulge exactly the information he wants you to have. And then he says, "Well, let's just say, perhaps Mickey had gone back on a deal he'd made with some ferals. Decided that perhaps they weren't suitable for integration into the Anarchs, that indeed they were more dangerous than they had led him to believe, and, well, they sought unjust vengeance, and as powerful as a Brujah such as Mickey would have been, I did not expect he would have been much of a threat against 3 angry ferals. And then I suspected, being a dear friend of Mickey myself, and being the one who helped to broker the deal, that they would be after me. I wanted to know what had become of my dear friend, but I did not dare set foot into this apartment in case there was a trap, and lo and behold, there was, he says, throwing his arms wide.
What was the deal?
The usual deal, he says. Get them out of Cam territory, get them into Anarch territory, and vouch for them. You see, we're all Anarchs here in this room, and with the Cam getting increasingly closer into declaring outright war, not content with their half of the city that they've stolen from us, but any new kindred who show up in Anarch territory are going to rightfully have suspicion leveled against them, unless they have a member of the Anarch community to vouch for them. And that would have been Mickey's job. I believe he found that the ferals were not going to hold to their end of the deal, and withdrew his intent to vouch for them, and well, that must have set them off. This is why the meetings would take place on neutral ground, you see, somewhere out of the city where there's no chance that they can call on Cam allies or cause any disruptions to the status quo.
Simon, when was this deal?
I fail to see how that's relevant.
Simon, when was the deal?
Surrounds the room, silently counting. You can read his lips. 1, 2, 3, as he takes in the sight of you and Gil, and then Wisteria.
Ah, he sees me.
He looks up and he sees you and he smiles. I've not had the pleasure of making your acquaintance. Please, there's no need to hide. There's no need to... We're all friends here.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I do have a question. He had to have kept records. Do you know where he'd keep them?
You wouldn't have happened to have found them yourself, would you? He says, asking. Curious. I would have no idea. I was hoping to sneak in while you were dealing with whatever trap the ferals left behind, and... well, I had a few places I intended to look, but no concrete idea of where they would be.
Well, we found a hidey hole in the bedroom, but somebody else had gotten there first. Wisteria lies.
Wisteria.
What other places would they be in, do you think?
Wisteria?
Yes.
Are you going to activate your ore?
That doesn't help much with manipulation.
No, it doesn't, unfortunately.
And
but...
it might make him suspicious. So.
Yep. So go ahead, straight up manipulation subterfuge roll for me, please.
Alright. I'll settle for 4 successes.
4 successes? 4 successes to his 3 successes. He frowns, the corner of his lip twisting into a curl. Damn it! He shouts, clenching his fist. Well, if it's not there, then I have no idea where else it could be, unless...
I'd say whoever took him probably has it. That could be a problem. Do you know of anything in there that the ferals could use?
His records, it would have lists of names, names of people he's dealt with, my name, people, mutual acquaintances, people who've brokered deals, people who provide commodities, help us secure routes, and the routes themselves. And if the Cam gets their hands on those, well, He winces. Pardon the language, but we will all be fucked.
Oh. So if we get them back for you, that would be a serious boon. Not only for you, but for the good of the community, it sounds like.
Well, I'll not contest it. A boon it is. We must get them back.
All right. We'll have to go check around. I know Phil owes me a premonition. Barry, Gil, do we have any more questions for the nice man?
I'm still waiting on him to answer mine. When was the
Sorry,
deal?
please continue.
No, it's all good.
When was the deal? He says. Well, I suppose, knowing now that the records have gone missing, I should be a bit more forthcoming with my information in the interests of getting them back. You promise that, you promise you'll do your best to make sure that all the damage that Mickey may have inadvertently caused will be carefully, quietly smoothed over. You're not planning to hand me or Mickey or anyone we're dealing with over to the cam or any other enemies that might be lying in wait?
The hell
It
would we
depends on
weaken
the
the
control.
Anarchs when the Camarillus are on our doorstep? But please, sorry, go on. Yes.
The deal was a week ago tonight, he says, and there's been no hide nor hair of Mickey for at least that long. Though I probably suspected something happened to him sooner than that. He had been away from his haven for at least a week before that, you see, scouting out routes and making initial contact with the ferals. He has other havens outside of town, safe houses, and he would have been waiting for them to arrive in the vicinity before making contact.
Who was it?
3 ferals. I don't know their names, he says, but they reached out through mutual channels saying that they were done with the cam, that they wanted a new life here in the Anarchs, and Mickey jumped on it. Usually his fee is blood, sometimes boons, favors, assets, mortals, retainers belonging to those he helps. Given that this was 3 of them, and ferals nonetheless particularly dangerous, and as I understand it, they were being actively pursued by the cam at the time, Mickey expressed to me that he had perhaps a more significant fee in mind. And I suspect that the ferals may have taken umbrage to it, and that would have precipitated this whole little conflict that's now led to his death, because, yes, he smiles, I am certain that Mickey Mayhew has gone to the Lord. And I suspect, as his dearest friend, I will be next. Unless you're willing to help me.
Done it for us.
I already owe a boon to your friend here, and he looks around. He says, and was there not a 4th of you? I could have sworn I saw a 4th. No, you would not be silly enough to try to hide from me when I've laid everything out on the table. He smiles. He says, what is in it for you is a friend and contact that will go a long way. You see, I may not look it. I may be a humble priest, but I know a lot. Because I am a servant of the Lord, there are many secrets that many have felt safe to divulge to me, and as such, I am an almost limitless font of information on almost anyone in this domain you could want to know about. And at this, he steps forwards, Barry, and his eyes narrow as he looks into yours, and he says, almost through gritted teeth, in a low voice, and as I understand it, you in particular are looking for someone. Someone who has eluded you for 3 decades thus far.
You really do know everything.
So, he holds out his hand. Do we have a deal? You help get those records back, find these ferals, ensure that whatever misunderstanding they had with Mickey does not apply to me, and if there's any assistance I can provide, let me know, and I'll be happy to pool my resources with yours.
What do we think?
Wisteria gives a slow nod. If he's being truthful, this does concern a significant pillar of the Anarch community. And I see no reason to distrust him on that.
Gil?
What do we got to lose?
Indeed. What do you have to lose? He says. I would say you have far less to lose than myself, or indeed poor Mickey. These ferals would not know who you are, and at the very least you might have a chance to speak to them before they set upon you.
Barry takes his hand.
He shakes it, and for someone with a build such as his, tall, thin, not particularly muscular, there's some heft to his handshake, and as he shakes your hand, he peers deep into your eyes, Barry, and once again they flash a bright red as he says in a monotone, and you, as one who upholds the law of man, will ensure justice is enacted upon those who deserve it. A strange feeling sets over you, Barry. A feeling you've rarely felt in your 30 years as a vampire, but it is immediately obvious to you that this sudden sense of mental lethargy is a telltale sign that he's attempting to dominate you. You have 3 choices. You can either accept it, you can resist, or, given your generation, you may spend a willpower to simply shut it down.
Who does this think? Who does this guy think he has power? And I kind of just want to reflect it back and just say, try that shit again, and I promise you justice will be served, and your sins will be counted against you.
The sinister smile on his face immediately falters. He opens his mouth in shock. Forgive me. Forgive me. I'll not try that again. The word of the Lord is unfortunately falls on deaf ears when
Barry just walks out.
Wisteria follows.
And Gil?
Sorry, yeah, Gil goes with.
Gil watches.
Yeah,
go ahead, Gil.
This guy, as they're leaving, and just as he walks past him, like motions to like smack him one and see if he flinches.
2 for flinching.
Yeah. Your fist comes about half an inch from his face, and perhaps how he was before, he may have had the composure to not flinch. But there's uncertainty on his face, shock. He's evidently not used to his domination not working, and as your fist very nearly strikes his face, he lets out a scream, steps back, stumbles, and falls with a crash onto the floorboards.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And Gil will keep going.
As you walk out of the room, he calls out in a feeble voice, people will have heard the gunshots, that they would have called the police. You should hurry. I'll stay back here and make sure they don't pick up your trail. Shall I?
I'm just going, just walking out, going down the stairs.
Yeah, his voice falling upon deaf ears as you all leave the apartment.
Amateurs are so very embarrassing.
Harry smiles a little bit at that one.
Yeah, there's a feeling in your mind spreading through every fiber of your being at the moment, a sort of mixture of smugness and just sheer incredulity that he would even try that. He probably thought, given that you've only been around for 3 decades, that you would not have any hope of resisting, but little did he know that your blood is particularly potent, far more potent than many of the neonates in this domain. One good thing your sire gave you, you think. So how's everyone looking in terms of hunger?
Wisteria's rocking a 2.
As is Barry.
Same as Gil.
Gil. Because I will say, as you make your way down the corridor to the stairwell and start to descend to the first floor of the apartment block, you can hear the sounds of life around you from behind the doors to all the various apartments. You can hear the muffled sounds of televisions, people talking and laughing, and even at Hunger 2, those signs of life cause the beast inside you to rile and call out. Pinpricks like 1,000 tiny fingers scrape at the inside of your cavernous stomachs. You smell the wretched scent of the human throng all around you, sleeping and glazing out to TV, drunk, helpless in their homes, in this building, like a rabbit warren, full of humans waiting to be fed upon. While it may not be your preferred method, feeding on someone else's domain, even when they're not here to enforce their will over it, the thought of sitting unfed in a car for the next hour or so as you make your way to Southern Cross petrol station is maddening. What do you do?
Barry's considering a feed. Sort of looks to the others.
I know that peckish look. You're the policeman. How long do we have before somebody does respond to the gunshots in this area?
You would know, Barry, at this place, this time of night, probably got about 20 minutes before they show up. Give or take.
And when they do get here, I do have a badge. It's
You
expired.
do have a badge.
I think we could eat. I'll meet you two at the car, she says and
Make
heads
it
for a
quick.
lower floor.
You hear Robert's
Oh, come
low growl
Might still
say.
teach me to suck eggs.
You hear Robert's low growl say, seemingly out of thin air, My haven's not far from here. I won't risk feeding here. I'll see what the hive has to offer. Go ahead without me, I'll meet you, I'll catch you up. And then you hear the sounds of his footsteps on the floor as he leaves you behind to
Actually,
attend to
Rob,
his very special... He stops.
if you can't make the rendezvous, could you do a little asking around the Nosferatu to find out about our street preacher? Just a little background.
Grunts his assent, and then you
Thank
hear
you.
the sound of the stairwell creak as his weight is pressed upon it, and he's gone.
Does anyone know what's going on with Robert?
Rogan?
Robert.
I'm not entirely certain. Something is. He seems troubled.
Is
You've
it
never
not
seen him...
weird?
Yeah, all the Nos are weird. That's right, Gil. And this one in particular, you've never seen him feed. You have no idea how he hunts. You've never hunted with him. And as he leaves now to see what the hive has for him, there's a tiny prickle of general weirdness. Unsettling images flood your mind of rats, of rat-sized ants squirming, swarming people in cocoons, their mouths frozen in looks of fear and pain. But they quickly depart.
Yes, I've long since filed that one under. I really don't want to know.
So, anyone who is going to leave without feeding will have to roll a composure plus resolve check. Otherwise, the rest of you, surrounded by humans who think they're safe in their apartments with Mickey Mayhew not here to stop you, it's almost irresistible. The voice of the beast whispering, yes, do it, take it, they're offered to you, free to take.
And Wisteria does. She goes down the floor to an apartment that she can't hear for sounds from, pops the lock and sneaks in.
Gil, Barry, either of you going to feed, or are you going to soldier on?
Barry's finding an alley.
Yeah.
Yep, going with Barry. Alleyway it is.
You part at the base of the stairwell, Wisteria heading off into the labyrinthine interior of the building, while the two of you step out into the cool night, beginning to prowl. Wisteria, you are a sandman.
I surely am. She surely is.
So please, go ahead and roll me a dex stealth check, please. And you may, of course, use your specialty, break-in.
Okay. That'll be 7 dice. Let's see how kind. 2 successes.
2 successes. You prowl the first floor for a good 5 to 10 minutes, pressing your ear against several of the doors, trying to find one apartment that's quiet, one where the occupants are asleep rather than lazing in front of the television, or laughing, or fighting, or fucking, and it's right at the very back. The last apartment you check, room 108. You press your ear against the door, find it utterly silent on the other side, and peering down at the bottom of the door, there's no light peeking under the crack either. And so, you smile as your lockpick comes out, and a couple seconds later there's a click You silently push the door open as you step into the pitch dark apartment. You feel your eyes narrow, contort, as they amplify the little ambient light that exists within the apartment, lighting the area in grayscale. And then you pass through a rather messy lounge room into a master bedroom at the back where the door is wide open and ajar. And as you step into the room, you hear someone grunt in their sleep and shift. You hear the squeak of the mattress. And then you creep up to them and peer down. A couple, their arms wrapped around each other, spooning in the bed, oblivious to the monster hovering above them.
Well, let's give him good dreams, I think. Yes. Just a little off the top.
As your fangs sink into his flesh and you feel that hot, warm nectar spill into your gullet, you're overcome with an ambrosial ecstasy. It's not just the thrill of the hunt, of stealing Mickey Mayhew's herd, or the sated feeling in your belly. It's the fleeting thoughts and feelings of your victim washing over you and entering you like second-hand smoke. Snatches, fragments of his dreams, a red car speeding down a highway, standing on the roof of a high-rise building, the sun setting over the city skyline, raising a rifle, shooting at a deer in the woods. And then you're done. You weren't particularly hungry to begin with, so you didn't take a lot. If you want to go down from 2 hunger to 1 hunger, no
That's
roll
a
will
plan.
be required.
She smiles, Wisteria does, and she reaches over and cups his wife's face in a gentle caress from memories that are not her own. And then she's gone, out the door, relocking it carefully. They seem nice. Perhaps she'll
And they-
visit them again.
And
Get
they
her side of the
sleep
story.
on. They sleep on. Their dreams
And-
blissful and uninterrupted by fangs or monsters.
And while she's waiting for the others, she pops down to the corner store and picks up a few things. The dingoes were unexpected. That won't be a problem next time.
What does she pick up?
Cleaning solvents, steel wool, fire starters. Things that would really fuck up an animal if it was sprayed in its face. Or burned in its general vicinity.
And how many dots in resources do you have? Definitely 1 or more.
4 at the minute.
Yeah, no roll needed. Takes a few minutes. You head down the street to the 7-Eleven at the corner, and 10 minutes after that, you're making your way back to the car, your hands laden with plastic bags. Meanwhile, Gil, Barry, you step out into the cold night, surveying the area. There's the alleyway that leads to the fire escape where those 2 women were smoking before. They seem to be gone now. Perhaps they've retired for the night. Aside from that, the street seems to be, unfortunately, unsettlingly empty. The surrounding buildings and businesses shuttered and dark. What would you like to do?
Gil, what do you think?
There's got to be someone around here somewhere, surely. He like pats his stomach like he's fucking hungry. Alright.
Well, Barry, as you look around, you remember when you came in, when Simon was standing on the milk crate, which is still there, upside down, overturned on the path. He was preaching to a homeless man. Now, that homeless man isn't there anymore, but you can see You can see the trail he's left of detritus and filth leading from the curb to a tiny little alcove on the opposite end of the street between the shuttered laundromat and another little apartment building, the only light illuminating that area being a flickering street lamp.
Anyone nearby?
Doesn't seem to be.
Barry's gonna get up to the windows and be inside.
Barry, what is your predator type?
I'm an alley cat.
Just like Gil. As you creep towards the little alcove, you peer through the mouth of it, and you can see the homeless man from earlier. He's now curled up in the fetal position on a flattened cardboard box on the concrete floor. Evidently, he's allowed to shelter in the little awning of this store, but he's not allowed to enter the building himself. He's unaware that he's being watched.
Can I use my blood pound merit to see if he's affected by any drugs, or like what his resonance might be?
Indeed. Gil, you watch as Barry halts, and he seems to sniff the air. And Barry, the unmistakable scent of very strong whiskey enters your nostrils. The homeless man lets out a long, throaty snore.
You right there, Skippy?
What would you like to do, Barry? Oh, you might be muted.
No, sorry, my Discord's just buffering. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, I was saying, you smell the unmistakable scent of very strong whiskey.
Okay.
He's an easy target. He's out for the count. It would be very easy for the two of you to gang up on him and take what you need, but you can tell the moment that blood touches your lips, Barry, you will feel like you've been hit by a truck. Might pay to spend some time searching for someone else, but you're not sure you'd even find them at this time of night.
What do you reckon, Gil? You feel like a bit of whiskey?
Yeah. I don't suspect Gil would have much of a problem with this. It'd be like the equivalent of an after-work drink, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. But so Gil's going to wander towards this homeless guy, like kind of ready to go.
Up to you then, Barry. Gil seems to have found his victim. Will you be partaking?
I'll let Gil take that one and just have one last look around to see if I can find someone a bit cleaner.
Yeah.
So I can have my full focus for this investigation.
Go ahead, Barry, and roll me a wits streetwise. Meanwhile, Gil, go ahead and roll me a strength plus brawl and add 2 extra dice to the pool, because in his drunken stupor, he's probably not even going to notice you until your hands are on him.
Can I use my heightened senses?
Yes, you may add your heightened senses to this.
And is that including my grappling specialty?
Yep. So 3 bonus dice altogether.
Three successes from Barry.
3 successes from Barry. How did Gil go?
5 successes.
5 successes. Yeah, you just step into the alcove, standing in the shadow of the awning, and as the homeless man grunts and shifts in his sleep and lets out another long, throaty roar of a snore, you just kneel down, grip him by the shoulders and hoist him up against the wall. He opens his mouth to scream, but your hand is already on it just as soon as your fangs are piercing his flesh. And so, Gil, when you were alive, what was your drink of choice?
Gil would have been, a rum and coke kind of guy.
Yeah. It's unmistakable. Rum and coke. At least 3 or 4 standard drinks worth of it, based on how quickly the force of it hits you. The homeless man continues to feebly struggle, and you take just enough to sate your hunger, just enough that the beast roars become purrs of satisfaction, and then rip your fangs out and stagger backwards as the alcohol flowing through your veins takes full effect.
Gil looks kind of happy and a bit buzzed, and he puts the homeless guy back down into the alley and like, thanks, old fella, and we'll get in his way, like feeling $1,000,000 he's got a shine on.
Yeah. The first few steps are hard. It's been about 30 years since you've gotten smashed, but it's like riding a bike. You never forget. Muscle memory kicks in, and when you step out into the street once again, no one would be able to tell that you've got a buzz on, save for the fact that you're smiling broadly. His blood was absolutely pumping with alcohol, but also, as you step out once more into the night air, Gil, you feel that warmth, that sense of calm, and that feeling that you're in bed with a nice thick warm blanket pulled over you, that you're safe and sound and nothing can hurt you, as his choleric resonance activates, giving you a bonus dice to all celerity and potence rolls you do for the rest of this session.
That sounds neat.
You look around for Barry, as if ready to high five, to celebrate that you've got your drink on, but he's gone. And Barry, how many successes did you get again?
3.
3. You've given up on this street entirely. You've moved about a block away, and while Gil's happy getting his drink on, you're prowling the outskirts of a little city park on the corner of a street, prowling through the tree line towards the children's playground in the center, where 2 young men, teenagers, young adults, hard to tell, somewhere around that age, are sitting underneath the flying fox, loudly laughing as they survey a fresh gleaming new graffiti tag that they've made. Yeah, look, it's gonna take them days to clean this off, says one of them. Yeah, biggest one we've done yet. Oh, you know what we should do? We should next time we should break into the school. We should paint that thing where the shed behind the. And then they stop. They stop as they hear the sound of a snapping twig from somewhere along the edges of the park, vaguely aware that you're watching them. What do you do?
How clean are they?
You sniff the air. They don't seem to be on anything. If they've been drinking, it's far less than what the homeless man was. You can detect a very faint trace of a chemical, alcoholic smell. Mainly, they both appear to be high on adrenaline. Probably their first time out at night. Probably the first meaningful act of rebellion against their parents they've ever made.
Barry's just gonna step out and he just says, "You'll do," and then rushes at one of them.
Go ahead, make me a strength brawl check.
Hell yeah. Four successes.
4 successes, nice. Perhaps seeing the gleam of your badge under the hem of your coat, they stop in their tracks, their eyes go wide as you step out. One of them opens his mouth and raises his hand. We didn't mean... But you're already on him. He screams as you wrap your arms around him, pull him down to the ground underneath the flying fox, and your fangs go in as you take the warm, sweet blood from his veins as it rolls down your throat. You taste a sweet, citrusy, fruity sort of aftertaste. There's definitely alcohol in there, but not enough to have any significant effect on you. No, the more blood you take, the more you find yourself excited, happy, smiling. You're sticking it to the man tonight, and no one can stop you. As the choleric resonance fills your veins. Angry, violent, bullying, passionate, envious, excited. Any potence or celerity rolls you make for the rest of this session get 1 bonus dice.
Fantastic.
You rip your fangs out of the boy's neck, drop him to the ground where he groans in ecstasy, and then his friend is still standing there staring at you, his eyes wide. And as you set your gaze on him, you see his right hand begin to slide down to his belt, where you see the handle of a switchblade.
Big mistake. And I just slowly get up with the full frame and just start slowly walking up to him.
He fishes
How
the...
much hunger did I slake?
Well, you were at hunger 2, weren't you?
Yeah.
So you can go down to hunger 1, or if you want to take more, if you want to take this boy's life, you can go to hunger 0.
Or I can take the both of them.
2. 2 at once. Yeah. He takes a step back and fishes out the switchblade, and his hand trembling, he flips the blade out. It's clean, shining. It's obvious to you that it's never been used, not even for so much as cutting a piece of string. He holds it out and he says, I know karate, I know knife fighting.
I just... we're just grabbing the switchblade by the blade, yanking out of his hand, and then like cracking it in half.
Go ahead,
And
make make me another strength plus brawl check, please.
Absolutely. Three successes.
3 successes to his 2 successes. He whimpers as you take a step towards him and then rush forwards in a supernatural blur. You see him stab out with the switchblade, but you're already on him as it slices the air. You bowl him off his feet and he screams as the switchblade is flung out of his hands. You kick it off the path into the grass where it's swallowed up in the scrub, and then sink your fangs into his neck, feeling yet more of that intoxicating euphoria flood through your veins. More, says the beast. And only when its cries for more have abated, only when you hear it sigh, in contentment do you rip your fangs out, and the boy's eyes roll into the back of their sockets, and he sinks into a dead faint.
Okay.
I'll let you reduce your hunger to 0 this time, as you've taken 2. And you were at low hunger to begin with, but this won't always work.
Yeah, cool. I think he just sort of looks at the 2 boys, and suddenly, like, an image of his, of Lyra sort of flashes by, and there's a bit of what was once like that rush of adrenaline has now become a little bit of shame. And so he just steals away.
Leaving them there, lying under the flying fox of the children's playground. When morning comes, they'll wake up and, well, they know no one will believe them. Not a story like that. About 20 minutes, half an hour later, you're once again gathered in front of the apartment building that is Mickey Mayhew's haven. There's a police car parked across the road, and 2 uniformed police officers pass you by without a word, stepping up to the front door of the apartment and admitting themselves. Wisteria's there, leaning against the car, clutching several plastic shopping bags.
What do you got there?
Some nasty surprises if they have more dingoes. Though I'm hoping we can talk this out. Given what we found in the notes, I have a suspicion I know what... Well, we shouldn't talk here. Let's get going.
I'm ready to roll, boys. Let's get out of here.
Gil slides into the driver's seat of his VL Commodore, and the engine roars to life.
Wisteria takes a sniff. Ready to roll or ready to be rolled? My dear Gil, you've been drinking on the job.
It's fine. Everything's cool. I'm ready to go. Let's get some party done.
I believe you. I'm just amused. It's been a good night. Let's go.
And as Gil's car screams down the street, Wisteria, you can't help but notice how, as he turns as he reaches the end of the street and turns to the right, he seems to cut over the curb, the whole car seeming to launch itself off the ground as loud music pumps from the cockpit.
Wisteria starts to buckle off, and the seatbelt breaks off in her hand. She looks at it, puts it down, and grips the O-ship bar for the rest of the ride.
There's another lurch that feels almost like a roller coaster cresting a hill and beginning its sharp descent as Gil slams his foot on the pedal and you're off, screaming into the night. Barry, You climb into your car and follow along behind them, a safe distance behind, as you watch Gil's car occasionally swerve and zigzag. Luckily, at this time of night, the roads are mostly empty, and you hope that the journey to Southern Cross will be relatively uneventful. Southern Cross gas station is about 20 minutes drive outside of Buckley, just where the city begins to fade and the wild begins to take over. A mixture of rising trees and wide open fields stretch out around you. You can't help but feel the safety of the city slip away, that gilded cage that provides you with food, warmth, and places to hide. It's only close behind, but somehow feels so far. Out here in the open, far from the human throng, it's easier to feel vulnerable. The darkness out here is thick, impenetrable. The lights of the car barely pierce it. Kilometers later, the moon hanging low over the horizon, you see the gas station on the side of the road, the big gleaming Southern Cross sign shining like a bright beacon in the dark. As Gil's Commodore and Barry's cruiser pull up onto the servo's premises, you get your first proper look at it. It's a small, single pump place with a beaten-up yellow Toyota parked out the front.
Barry's immediately taking notes of any license plates or any details of that car.
Yeah. Immediately committing the number plate to memory. ABU161. Intending to run it through the database later. You park your cars on the very edge of the car park, just outside the service station's main building. And as you throw the doors of the cars open and step out once more into the night, you, Barry, smell the unmistakable scent of fresh blood on the air.
Something's gone down. I smell blood.
Wisteria stiffens, and her tongue flicks the air. Don't suppose my danger sense is going off?
Yeah. As your tongue flicks the air like a snake, you taste it. That metallic, barely perceptible taste of blood on the air. Not enough to localize where it's coming from, but enough to register that indeed Barry's telling the truth. And the hairs on the back of your neck stand sharply straight up, Wisteria. Something here could do you harm. Whether they mean to or not is another question entirely.
Someone's been eating my porridge, and they're still here, said Goldilocks.
Barry just takes his gun.
Robert, are you here? She looks around, no response. I suppose it's on me to investigate. I'll be right back. And she'll duck behind the car, go invisible to everything, including cameras, and go have a look.
Does she get hungrier?
That's a good question. Yes, she does. She also sprays herself down with something that covers her scent.
Yes.
Probably the type of cleaner that you use in these gas stations.
She kneels down behind the car and disappears. The only sign that she's there at all is the hiss of the spray. And then, Mysteria, you step out into the bright lights of the gas station, and where do you go?
Are there any outbuildings, or is there just the main terminal?
Just seems to be the main building. There's a big neon sign just above a set of double glass doors that says
Not going in that way.
Zoomomart.
Not going in that way. We'll go look for an employee's entrance.
Aside from that, there's a single yellow Toyota parked in front of the single pump. But it doesn't look like there's anyone in it that you can see. The lights are off and the engine is dead. You creep towards the building, making sure to head around the back. You pass a single blue dumpster that exudes one of the most horrible stenches you've ever smelt, and right on the other side of it is a rusted metal door with a faded sign reading "Employees Only." Unfortunately, there's a cheap, dinky-looking padlock slid through the loop on the door.
Amateurs are so very embarrassing. Out comes the kit, and she quietly gets to work.
Make me a Dex larceny check, please.
Is this a break-in by any chance?
Definitely.
Oh, that's normally stealth.
Stealth lass. Well, no, I'll let you apply it to larceny.
All right,
Makes
thank
sense.
you. I should buy it on larceny too, come to think of it. 4 successes.
4 successes. You make quick work of this cheap little padlock. It drops to the ground, and then you slowly push the door open. It leads directly into a cramped office. There's barely enough room to move, and as you step into the office, you realize why the door was locked, because there's a stack of cardboard boxes overflowing with reams of paper and folders stacked right in front of it on the other side. It takes all of your willpower to avoid knocking it over and instead sneak slowly past. On the crowded desk, there's a single CRT monitor displaying a grainy black and white feed from the security camera, watching over the front of the service station, but you're confident that it wouldn't have seen you.
Alright. We'll just go ahead and disable that so that we're not caught on film.
Yeah. How many dots in technology have you got?
Only 1.
Only 1? With 1 dot, the best you can do, unless you want to spend some time playing around with it, is just rip a cable out of the back of the monitor so that the feed on the screen cannot be seen.
That's probably... That's probably for the best. She's not visible to machines anyway, so if the other 2 are, that's their problem. She'll do that. And then she'll move on, looking for something more. Something's dangerous here. What is it?
Screen goes black as you rip a cable out. And are you looking in the office, or are you going to creep out into the station proper?
We'll creep out into the station proper for the minute.
You're currently obfuscated, so no roll needed. You push.
And scent is covered in case they've got animal guards.
Yeah, in case they've got animal guards. Just as well, I'm rolling for somebody and I'm giving them disadvantage. How many dots in obfuscate do you have?
3.
3. 3 to 2 successes. You push another door slowly open and step out of the employee office into the Zumo Mart itself. It's a brightly lit, wide open convenience store, but there are no signs of life save for the single attendant behind the counter. His attention is currently focused entirely on a fishing magazine that he's holding up in front of his head, absent-mindedly rifling through. while a radio on the counter, mostly static, occasionally spits out the footy scores.
He's a male?
Seems to
Looking
be.
for- we're looking
Seems
for
to
a
be.
woman.
He's got long curled hair. But you're pretty sure he's male.
Alright. Any other rooms off of here?
A short distance past the counter at the front is another door with a big yellow sign proclaiming it to be the restroom.
Ah. Easy enough. Would it be easy enough to slide past the attendant, or is he watching in that direction?
He's not looking in the direction of the bathroom, but you would have to squeeze past him. So there's a chance he would hear you or perhaps sense your movement. But that doesn't mean it's impossible.
Yeah. The odds that somebody is hiding in there for an ambush, not impossible, but yeah. Okay, we'll go back and check the office real fast.
Yeah. Step back into the darkened office. Go ahead and make me a wits investigation check.
And if we find nothing, then it'll be on back to the boys. Wits and investigation. 3 successes.
Rifle through some of the cardboard boxes, and they're mostly filled with old inventories, requisition forms, purchase forms, and things of that ilk. And you're about to give up on your search until finally you find, wedged down the side one of the boxes, a bright yellow incident form filled out by one of the employees to be examined by a manager later. There was a disturbance 3 nights ago, according to the incident form. The person's written down in messy, scrawled handwriting that they heard sounds of a struggle in the parking lot, but when they investigated, nobody was there. And on subsequent nights, the person who filled out the form has reported that they have a strange sense that someone is watching. Every time they peer out into the parking lot, into the tree line beyond, they feel this unexplainable sense of dread. The manager himself has scrolled down at the bottom. What the fuck do you think I can do about that?
Inexplicable senses of dread are far beyond mental management at the best of times. Alright. Wisteria returns to the boys and materializes out of thin air, offering the paper.
Barry, Gil, you peer down
there's-
at the...
There's something in the tree line.
Peer down at the piece of paper, read the incident report that there were sounds of a struggle in the parking lot, the very one in which you stand, but when the employee came out to check, no one was there. You whirl around, peer at the tree line, and I would like everybody to go ahead and make a wits awareness check for me.
Heightened senses?
Heightened senses does, of course, apply.
4 successes.
I've got a total failure, so I'm going to spend a willpower to re-roll my failures.
Yeah, go ahead. And
5
Barry?
successes from Barry.
5 successes.
That's a bit better. 3 successes.
All 3 of you have at least 3 successes. As you peer towards the tree line on the other side of the road, you feel it. Instantly. That prickle in the back of your minds, at the base of your necks. Someone or something is watching, unseen in the darkness. And it seems to be hiding there.
Should we say hello?
Yes. Would you like to speak, or shall I? Initially, I mean.
You have a way with
No.
words. I'll leave it to you.
I do. Wisteria puts her hands in her pockets, starts strolling toward the tree line, turns on all and smiles. Hello there. May we
Make-
have a discussion?
Make me a charisma etiquette roll, please. And of course, add your presence.
Do-do-do-do-do.
And Barry's just standing guard over, like a security guard.
The ready.
Three successes. Actually, yes, you stand there, Gil stands there, you all look like bodyguards. Good.
In the light cast by the Southern Cross sign, there's a neon pink hue to Wisteria's skin. But despite this, she seems to take on a countenance that you've never really seen before. She steps forwards, throws her hair back, and that, while bathed in the pink neon glow, makes her seem almost ethereal, angelic. And as you call out, Wisteria, with everyone in the group having gotten at least 3 successes on the wit's awareness, you all see instantly, in response to Wisteria's greeting, 2 large 4-legged canines loitering on the edge of the woods. Slowly creeping out of shadow, their eyes gleaming yellow in the night, as they silently watch.
Excellent. She sits down on the ground, crisscross applesauce. Pats the dirt in front of her. Neutral parley. Whatever is said, whatever comes of this, will not initiate hostilities unless you do.
One of the canines, the one on the left, shuffles forwards ever so slightly. They make no sound, and they make no movement to actually cross the road and come to you. Instead, the canine raises its nose, sniffs the air, and then stares intently at the service station behind you.
She would have picked a spot that was out of the camera's view, by the way.
Yes, of course. The parking lot's not in view of the cameras, only the pump and the area leading to the little mini-mart.
Oh. You're saying we should go into the service station? She points.
They make no movement, no sign of acknowledgement at all. But now both of them are staring intently at the service station, sniffing the air.
Well, let's head in then.
How many dots in insight do you have, Wisteria?
That would be 1.
1. It seems not so much that they're directing you to the service station. Rather,
They're concerned about it.
they're concerned about it, waiting, suspecting something inside.
Would you be more comfy if we went into the woods instead?
As you say the word woods, the 2 canines shrink back into the shadows, and in the quiet of the night you hear a growl.
I'm going to take that as a yes. She reaches slowly into her bag, pulls out the flashlight she keeps there, miniature one. Shall we?
Gil, Barry, what do you think? Barry, I will say, with your bloodhound, that smell of fresh blood still hangs strongly in the air, and seeing those canines with their eyes set upon the service station as you sniff the air again, it seems fairly obvious to you that the building itself is the source of the scent.
There is someone there.
I saw an attendant. Maybe somebody killed him and was wearing a shirt.
Was there any other room?
There's the bathroom. Didn't fancy my chances of checking it without alerting him.
The question that's... Go ahead, Barry.
Oh, what about a manager's office?
I was in the manager's office, searching through it. It does occur to me that somebody could be hiding unseen. I have no way of detecting that. But if they're hiding unseen, they weren't in the manager's office, else I'd be dead. Or apprehended.
The same question suddenly occurs to both of you. Where is Sarah Dassey?
That's the name we were sent to find.
Gil got her phone number, didn't he?
He sure did.
He'll give her a call.
Ooh. Let's do that. She looks excitedly to, Barry. Open your ears, do the thing. See if you hear the number going off.
Switch my heightened senses from my eyes to my ears.
Yes. There's a loud beep as Gil fishes his phone out, scrolls through his messages to find the one from Abby, and dials the number within. Gil, are you expecting someone to answer? And if so, what will you say?
He's expecting someone to answer. So he'll just say hello.
Sorry, go ahead and make me a composure plus awareness check, please. And of course, add your auspex.
Composure?
You've got it. You're trying to listen. You're trying to peer through the incidental sounds, the occasional distant car. You're trying to pinpoint something that would only be audible to your heightened senses. So I think composure makes a bit more sense than wits on this one.
Cool. Alright, that's...
But if you want, if your composure's not that high, feel free to rouse the blood to add some extra dice if you like.
No, my composure's great. It's 4 successes there.
4 successes. You can hear the dial tone from Gil's phone. And then you hear it, Barry. From somewhere inside the mart. The ring of an iPhone. Dun, 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 dun. It's coming from somewhere far to the back, as far away from the parking lot as you can be, roughly around where Wisteria described the bathroom to be.
The phone's in the bathroom.
And then, Gil, you hear a click. You say, hello? And immediately, a terrified sounding female voice asks, "Where's Mickey? Where is he?"
Gil looks at Barry and then it's okay. Look, my name's Gil. You know my Mrs. Abby? Yeah? We're
Abby said that you must be Gil Burke, right?
That's me.
Barry just quickly makes contact with both Wisteria and Gil. And motions to the gas station.
Wisteria nods, pulls out her phone, begins typing on it, holds it up for Gil. It says, tell her we're aware of her situation and we're working on it, but any information she can give us would help.
Yeah, Gil, relay the message.
And then Barry starts heading to the gas station.
You hear on the other end of the phone, you hear the woman wince in obvious pain. Ugh. And then she says, I came here to wait for Mickey. I've been waiting for him ever since. Oh, they attacked me. Meanwhile, Barry, go ahead, Gil.
Who attacked you? Was it the dogs in the woods?
It was the same ones that attacked Mickey. They human, but like animals. She gasps, and then you hear a clatter of the sound of the phone being dropped onto the floor. You hear her wincing, labored breath distant on the other side of the line. Meanwhile, Barry's making his way quickly towards the service station. Straight through the front door, Barry, or through the back, like Wisteria?
No, just straight through the front door, head into the bathroom with a purpose.
As the doors whoosh and admit you into the convenience store, you make a beeline straight for the bathroom. The long-haired man behind the counter looks up, and for a split second, you see Fern. Fern smiling and waving. But then, a second later, you blink, and Fern is gone. The man's looking up from his magazine. G'day, mate. What can I do for you?
Barry's just sort of stunned a bit, and then he shakes it off and badges the attendant, and then just keeps heading straight for the bathroom.
The attendant holds up his hand. Hey, mate! Some lady's in there using it. She's been in there for a while now. Sorry, but you're gonna have to wait. It must have
Barry
been...
kicks the door open.
And I assume you're using your lethal body? Yep. Usually all that does is let you bypass armor, but I think it applies to, smashing doors. I'll make it a bit easier. Go ahead, make me a strength brawl check and add an extra dice from the resonance you currently have.
Lovely. Five successes.
The smell of fresh blood grows stronger as you walk up to the door, and as he sees you crouching, bending your shoulder, the attendant says, Now, hang on, mate. I'll have to call the coppers if you... But you cut him off before he even finishes his sentence. You surge forwards, the blood rushing through your body, feeling that excitement, that euphoria, that same feeling of sticking it to the man that those kids felt as they graffitied up the playground. And with a crash, the bathroom door slides open. Now look, mate, says the receptionist as you stand there in the now open doorway. I'm gonna have to call the coppers. You're gonna have to stay there.
I show him my badge.
And as he sees your badge, his eyebrows raise. He opens his mouth again to protest, and then... fuck it. I'm not paid enough for this shit. He lifts up his magazine and begins furiously flicking through it, trying to find the page he was on. As you step inside, it's a messy, single-stall bathroom made of concrete, and the only thing that smells stronger than the piss-stained floor is blood. The young woman inside looks at you with wide eyes. She's pale. Her hair is plastered to her forehead with sweat. standing at the sink, her right hand clutching her upper left arm, blood running in steady rivulets spills down onto the once white porcelain of the sink. She's doing her best to put pressure on 3 extremely angry-looking and deep wounds in her bicep. Blood is everywhere, on the walls, the inside of the door, spattered in messy handprints and droplets all over the floor. Sweet, precious blood. You're distantly aware of your beast awakening, registering the presence of blood, and you count yourself lucky that you fed before coming here.
Do I recognize the pattern of this scene?
Go ahead and roll me an intelligence plus academics. Or an intelligence plus science, you can choose.
They're both the same, so... Two successes.
2 successes. You peer around the tiny room, trying to imagine some sequence of events that took place here, but the blood is all over the walls, all over the floor, and the only thing you can see is blood. Copious amount of it, more than there should be in this woman's body. If you'd arrived perhaps a few minutes earlier, before she'd started bleeding out so profusely, you might have been able to piece something together. Unfortunately, there's so much blood, there's no any patterns at all that you may have found have been completely washed away. Though, with 2 successes, I will offer you a premonition, if you'd like to accept the rouse check to get it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Go ahead, make a rouse check, see if you get hungrier.
I don't. Wow.
You're in a room full of blood. The smell is almost overpowering, and you hear your beast rumble in the back of your mind, but you grit your teeth in determination and peer at the woman. And then a flash in your mind's eye. The yellow Toyota coming to a stop in front of the pump. The woman peering out through the windscreen, furiously scanning the parking lot. She reaches down for her phone, scrolls through the messages between her and John, muttering under her breath, "Where are you? Where are you?" And then she hears it, the howl of a canine. Her eyes wide with fear, she peers up at the rearview mirror and sees them bounding out of the tree line towards her. She screams. And then, with a lurch, you feel your feet drop back down onto the blood-stained concrete of the bathroom, back in the here and now. Please! Please! She gasps at you, clutching her wounds. I can't stop it! Blood pours out, covering her entire hand within seconds.
I'm helping applying pressure and just trying to get her out. Has Wisteria made it as well? Did Wisteria come as well?
Wisteria didn't follow you in.
Okay.
Wisteria is actually contemplating walking into the woods. Does Gil want to stop her? Nope. Alright. She's walking into the woods.
Gil goes to, but he's like, screw it, you want to do it, go, yeah, sure.
Up to you if you want to come with, she says.
Gil's looking back towards the servo and is kind of like, well, fuck. Kind of feels the need to help out this ghoul.
Yeah. So Gil's heading to the servo then.
Yeah.
I might. Barry's gonna grab the phone and just say, I can try and tend to her in the car. if you guys want to go into the woods, see what's going on with the gangrel,
Yeah, all right. You sure?
yeah, if need be, I can take her somewhere.
All right.
I've got contacts.
Okay. And Gil will hang up and follow after Wisteria.
Sprinting across the road towards the tree line, where you can tell they're waiting, watching. Barry, you rush to the woman's aid, applying pressure to her wound, trying everything you can to help. Make me an intelligence plus medicine check.
Not gonna be good. Oh no, 2 successes.
2 successes. You remember some basic first aid from your days as a beat cop, and you rip a shred off your sleeve to use as a bandage, begin to tighten it around one of her wounds as she winces in pain. No matter what you do, though, you can't seem to stem the bleeding. The blood continues surging forwards, painting that scrap of fabric bright red. The woman's skin gets paler and paler. Her breathing starts to slow as she looks into your eyes and she says, Please, vite! Vite!
Do I know what happens if I give someone my vitae?
I'd say after 30 years, you would probably know how a ghoul works. You don't have any dots in occult, but I'd say other people in your coterie have ghouls, so you would have the basic idea.
Maybe cut to the other people. I never think about this.
Yeah. Wisteria.
What I think. No, Wisteria's not there, but what she would think. You can almost see her voice in her head as she says, "Well, it looks like she's going to die if you don't."
Barry's gonna give us some vitae.
Make a rouse check for me, please, to see if you get hungrier.
Okay. I don't.
Reach down, pick a piece of broken tile off the ground and slice your wrist. Hold it up to her and she moves with such speed and force that you could be forgiven for thinking that she herself is a vampire. She wraps her lips around your wrist and ravenously drinks, sucking the whole wound dry. And as she does so, the colour floods back into her cheeks. She kneels back, clutching the bandage, the crimson bandage to her wound, and finally, miraculously, the bleeding seems to stop. She lets out a deep, long sigh. Oh, thank you. Thank you. If you didn't come, I would have... My Domitor, he isn't here. He wasn't here to help me.
It's okay. Recover your strength and then we'll ask some questions later. I'm gonna get you a bit away from here.
She nods.
Gonna drive her someplace close where he can assist if need be, but also away from the animal.
As you lead her out of the bathroom, the attendant looks up again from his magazine. He sees her absolutely drenched in blood. His eyebrows draw closer to the very top of his forehead as he's instantly racked with concern, and he shouts, Jesus Christ! Shit! We could call an ambulance!
It's gonna be alright. You might want to clean it up, though.
You sure she's a... She looks him in the eyes, and she breathes through gritted teeth. I'm okay. This officer's gonna help. He nods, and then immediately rushes towards the open bathroom, his long hair billowing behind him. Fuck! He says out loud as he sees the sheer amount of blood on the walls and the floor. Fuck! 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 You lead her out through the whooshing double doors.
Some of us have been that guy.
And as soon as you step out of the service station, Barry, you see her eyes immediately dart to the tree line across the road. She whimpers in fear and grabs your arm, holding it tight. In this moment, she looks like nothing more than a terrified little girl, and for a split second you see Lyra's face peering up into yours.
It's alright, honey. We're gonna get you out of here. Come on.
They're gonna come and get us, she says.
It's alright. It's okay.
The gangrel.
They're not gonna hurt you.
Seems to calm, seems to relax, but still doesn't relinquish her tight grip of your arm. You make your way back to the parking lot where your car is, where Gil's car is, and Gil and Wisteria are no longer there.
Do I still have her phone?
She's clutching her phone in her left hand. She picked it up as you were leaving the room.
Oh. Send a text. Just say, everything alright?
We'll get to that in a moment. Meanwhile, Mysteria and Gil, you cross the road. As you reach... Hey, Wisteria. As you reach the tree line, the two huge canines silently watch, their eyes glimmering in the moonlight, and then they turn and bound away into the trees, beckoning for you to follow.
And she does.
Slip into the tree line and into a surprisingly sparse clearing on the other side. Here, the only light is that cast by the moon and the stars above. In the shadows, the two canines transform into two people. A man and a woman, both with disheveled hair, dreadlocks, tattered layered clothing, and fingerless gloves. About their person hang little metal trinkets gleaming in the starlight, on bracelets, through their hair, on their earrings. Without so much as a prompt, the woman steps forwards and asks venomously, "Where is the Malkavian?"
Now, if you know Malkavians, you know that's a very silly question, but I'm pretty sure he's not here. They're difficult to keep track of in the best of times. First things first, Mysteria pulls out the two blood packs she found at the Brujah's place. They're a little old, but they're serviceable. Have you fed?
As you hold them out, the two gangrel look at them cautiously.
I'll be happy to take a sip from one if you want.
They make no move to grab them. Instead, the woman looks over your shoulder at Gil. "Who are you?" she spits. "He is of the same clan as the betrayer, as the murderer."
You can tell that just by looking. That's impressive.
"We smell it on
What
him.
the fuck?
The blood of the murderer."
Well, first of all, you'd be the lot from the Camarilla, yes?
Who?
Out here, clan doesn't mean as much as what you do.
"Who are you?" she repeats again through gritted teeth.
Right now, we're investigators. And what we've turned up is concerning.
The man behind her scoffs. He shrugs. He looks over at Gil and he says, "Yeah! As if he's not here to finish the fucking job!"
That confirms a few things.
I mean, I'm not, but what job?
What job? What job? He says. The two Gangrel exchange glances. Diablerie! What they did to Francis! He demanded blood we would not give, so he took it! And now
fuck.
you're here to make sure the rest of us never... We know what you... We were warned.
Sir,
There's
madame.
no justice among the anarchs. It's survival of the fittest.
Sir and madame, I am currently armed with a penlight. If you attack me, I have every intention of running the fuck out of you. That is the sole extent of my hostility toward you. Can't speak for him, but he's faster than I am, so I expect he'll make it clear to report what happened, and then you will be in the shit. Right now, you're not in the shit. Right now, you have been wronged, I believe, if indeed diablerie was on the table. You see, judging going by what you've said and what we found in the notes, it looks like Sammy has... Mickey. It looks like Mickey has betrayed his trust. He was given one fucking job, and like any of us, he decided to line his pockets, or his veins in this case. Would that be about what happened?
The male Gangrel, Jacob, according to the list in your pocket, sneers. Said no one would miss us, he did. The woman, Toya, bounds forwards, both of her fists clenched. Once more she looks at Gil, and she says, "Who the fuck are you?"
Well, my name's Gil.
And
I mean, I knew
Wisteria.
Mickey, but I don't work with him.
Gil, I'd like you to go ahead and make me a charisma persuasion check, and you can add 2 bonus dice because you have a wonderful little perk called Ingenue.
I do.
You're not united, she spits. Bloodline working for bloodline, watching each other's backs.
That'd be
How
4
can we
successes.
trust you? How many successes?
4.
She looked a second ago as if she was about to attack you, about to leap forwards and beat the answers out of you. And as you hold up your hands and you say, "Hey, I don't work for him," she pauses. She bares her teeth, revealing her fangs, and she says, "Then why are you here? How do we know we can trust you?"
Okay, that's a trick question. Given what we are, you absolutely can't trust us, and we can't trust you. However, I see a way for both of us to get what we want here.
Where is the Malkavian? Toya spits.
Was he here when Sammy ate Francis?
Turned and ran when we fought Brujah off, when we dragged him out of that parking lot into the woods. Turned and ran like the coward he is.
All right. That explains what I saw. And out of character, did Wisteria get anything from Sense the Sin on that Malkavian?
How many successes did you get?
Only 2.
The certainty, the absolute certainty that Simon knew what was going to happen to these gangrel drifts into your mind. You could see his face in the back of your mind, smiling as he agrees, as he nods, and tells
Alright.
Mickey that the two of them will hold the gangrel down. No one will miss them. You see his lips form the words.
The sin of Cain. Alright. I'll level with you. We were sent here to investigate Mickey's missing status. He's been noticed. Now here's the thing. Going by his notes and what you've just said, you've turned up some very damning evidence. So if that story goes forward, you'll not be charged. Hell, this happened out of town. In fact, you did us a favor. Mickey's been eating people on the sly. This isn't the first time this has happened. And that's a problem. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. That's a Camarilla trick.
We demand satisfaction! Roars Jacob. An eye for an eye! If you anarchs won't provide the one who orchestrated this, then we will take one to replace him.
And now that is unacceptable. Here's the thing. Do you want back to the Camarilla? Or do you want to try your luck with the Anarchs?
They exchange looks. Toya shakes her head. We can't go back.
Alright.
That's why we reached out for help in the first place. But at this point, we'd rather just do it for ourselves.
Alright.
So Anarch and Cam both to fuck off and leave us alone.
It occurs to me that you might want to have a talk with the local gangrel. There's quite a number in the city, and they seem to find it fine among the Anarchs. It also occurs to me that we could put you into a position to get your vengeance in time when you've cooled down and had a talk with the local gangrel.
Just as you finish this sentence, Wisteria, that you hear the unmistakable vibrating of Gil's phone behind you. Gil, your heart sinks as you lift up your phone and see a message from Barry there. Everything okay? Who's that? Barks the male gangrel. Who are you talking to? Planning another ambush, no doubt.
Do you think we followed Gangrel into the woods alone? She says, that's insurance to make sure you don't try anything stupid. But I don't think we'll need it. Let me spin you a scenario. I think that what happened was that Mickey Mayhew came out here to run you across to the Camarilla, and you stumbled into lupines along the way, and they tore Mickey and Francis to shreds. And I think that's the story that we're going to go with when I introduce you to the local that you need to know, and then you can quietly tell the gangrel what happened. But together, with some backup, you can figure out what you want to do to that Molcavian. How does that sound?
Go ahead, Wisteria. Make me a charisma plus persuasion check. Your aura is still active, so go ahead and add your presence.
I will go ahead and boost, and not get hungrier.
Meanwhile, Gil, do you respond to Barry's message?
Whilst Mysteria's got him distracted a little bit, he'll like quite obviously and like almost pantomime like respond, so it doesn't look like he's doing anything dodgy. He'll just send back a thumbs up.
Bloop. Barry. A thumbs up appears in reply. They're out there, whispers Sarah. They're out there. They're coming for us.
It's alright,
Okay.
my coterie is out there. We'll sort it out.
5 successes and 2 willpower spent to roll out of a messy critical.
Very, very good.
Yo.
Smart moves.
The two gangrel are silent, exchanging furtive glances, and then Toya's face crumples. She screams in rage and looks you dead in the eye as she bares her fangs and says, "We demand payment! One of our number was diablerized."
And you killed Mickey. Yes?
An eye for an eye, but the Malkavian must pay too!
And you have opportunity to do that on your own terms. With help from the gangrel, who are probably not going to be too happy with them after you quietly, in privacy, tell them what happened.
Back in the parking lot, Sarah...
How does that sound to you?
Before they answer, we'll go back to the parking lot, where Sarah peers up into Barry's face, and she asks, Did Simon send you? I sent a message to him in the bathroom. I said I needed blood. He told me it wouldn't be long.
That motherfucker. Is it possible, DG, that Barry would have used an unerring pursuit on Simon?
Let's go ahead and roll for it. Unerring Pursuit. That is an Auspex power from the Sabat book. And it is, I dare say, Barry's signature discipline. So, it's an amalgam with Dominate. Go ahead and roll me a Resolve plus Auspex.
Now, if Wisteria had sensed the sin earlier, she would have mentioned this to Barry. If that's any help.
Unfortunately, earlier, before now, you wouldn't have had anything other than like a vague sense that he knew something. It's now faced with the aftermath of what he's wrought that it becomes clear. How many successes do we have, Barry?
Only 3.
3 to his 2 successes. You had foresight back in the apartment building when he tried to dominate you, back when you threw it off and you reflected it on him. That split second of his distraction was all you needed to slip past his defenses, look him in the eye. And now, all you need do is close your eyes and the blood will reveal his location. And so you close your eyes, Barry, and as soon as you close them, the blood gives you the answers you seek. Go ahead and make a rouse check for me to see if you get hungrier.
I don't. How am I succeeding on these rouse checks?
Well,
Nice.
this will be. I guarantee next session you're probably going to go from like 1 hunger to 5 hunger in 2 rolls because that's how this happens. But for now, your mastery over the blood is something to behold. The blood potency your sire gifted you. The true power of a member of the 10th generation. And nobody can hide from it. As you close your eyes, you see through Simon Estler's gazing through the parking lot up at the service station. He's crouching, obfuscated, just behind the yellow Toyota, wedged between its right back wheel and the pump. He said he'd come to help, says Sarah. I need the blood.
Sarah's okay now that I've given her some of my Vitae, right?
Seems to be. She's in obvious pain still, but she's stopped bleeding.
Barry's gonna open the car door and say to Sarah, "Don't leave." Slams it shut and locks it. And then is just gonna start storming towards Simon's location. And I'll send a text message on the way to
Gil.
To Gil, yeah, to Gil. I want to say that someone is watching. Figuring it out now.
Mm.
You sure you don't want to mention Simon by name?
Oh, yeah, I said someone instead of Simon.
Oh, he said Simon, okay.
Ooh. I mean, I wouldn't know that Simon's a bad name, so I'll say Simon. Say his full name.
Whoop. Gil, you peer down at your phone in the dark clearing. The words, "Simon's hiding. I'm gonna get him," pop up on the screen.
Look, it's very simple. You just have to wait a bit for your vengeance is all. I'm trying to set things up here so that everyone gets what they want, and we come out of this looking like...
The gangrel hear the vibrate of the phone, and both of them immediately level their gazes on Gil. "Who are you talking to? No secret here. If you want us to work with you, then no more secrets."
No secrets. Gil looks at his phone and back to Wisteria and kind of takes a deep breath and kind of holds it in. This might go a bit faster than you think. Yeah. He'll hand the phone over to Wisteria just to show her the text.
She turns it around to show them. See? No secrets. It says Simon is what?
Yeah! Both of the gangrel immediately roar.
Simon's... Oh, he's an idiot. Well, let's go find him. Looks like vengeance is back on the menu.
The two are already charging towards.
Looks like you get what you...
roaring
with
rage.
Fuck. And Wisteria starts jogging back, looks at Gil. Do you know if Barry has that forget things trick?
No idea, but don't we need this preacher boy for info? We might want to stop him just till we get the information.
Honestly, good luck. I'll go take care of the attendant. Gotta keep that masquerade. And she goes invisible.
Fuck. Gil will start making up for the car park.
just running after the gangrel, charging through the trees. They're much faster than you, Gil. Despite their size, the bulky mass of their muscles, they're already halfway across the road, screaming towards the parking lot.
And Wisteria leaves you with one whisper. If he were really good at his job, he wouldn't be stupid enough to come here, though. Just think on that before you try to stick your neck out for him.
Meanwhile, Barry, you're crossing the parking lot towards the yellow sedan. And then, out of nowhere, you hear it. The pounding of footsteps on the concrete. You whirl around to see what must be the two gangrel charging across the street towards the servo. And then Gil pushing out of the tree line behind them. Where? The gangrel roar at you. Where is the Malkavian?
How far away is he?
At this point, 2 meters, 3 meters at most, a car length away.
Barry's just gonna first grab Simon.
He's obfuscated, but you know where he is. But he doesn't know that you know where he is. So go ahead and roll me a strength brawl check and add a bonus dice, please.
Two successes.
2 successes? 2 successes to his 2 successes. Would you like to willpower or accept?
Oh
it?
yeah, I will. Yep.
I will allow him to re-roll willpower. Nope, but he's left at 2 successes. Your fingers clasp over the air and grab something solid, the hem of someone's clothing. You feel it pull away against you. You feel something sharp poke into your lower rib and then step back, avoiding his blade as he unobfuscates. Your hand is around his priest's collar. He stares at you, his face warped in anger, his free hand brandishing a wicked, curved dagger. What is the mean? He doesn't get to finish demanding anything of you because the two gangrel immediately let out a roar and leap over the roof of the Toyota, landing beside you with a crash. You feel the concrete shake as they land. The female gangrel looks you in the eyes, Barry, and she says, "Give him to us now!"
No. I need this one alive.
Why? Why should he live after what he's done?
Both prophet is told. Because he's useful to me. And if you play your cards right, that'll be useful to you.
Head and make me either charisma or composure plus intimidation, please.
Please.
2 successes? Would you like to willpower that?
Yes. Ugh. He's tired.
How many successes are we ending up with now?
Again, sorry.
Have you run out of willpower? That means you are impaired.
This-
And... Oh yeah, yep. You can re-roll up to 3 non-hunger dice.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's 2 more successes, so it's 4, I believe.
4 altogether. 4 to match her 4 successes. You feel the priest squirm in your hands. He opens his mouth to say something, but he never gets the words out as the female gangrel clenches her fist and with a roar rushes forwards, determined to knock you out of the way. Her male companion standing beside, raising his fists to back her up, baring his fangs. Gil, you're standing there and you arrive just as the gangrel makes a move towards Barry. What do you do?
Gil will move to get between them and Barry, just to get them away from him.
Go ahead, Gil. Give me a strength brawl check. Will you be employing your potence, or are you trying to not hurt them?
No, it's game on.
Go ahead, make a round check to add your prowess, and then go ahead and add your potence to the roll.
Hey, I'm taking Barry's luck here. That's not hungrier, which is great.
Definitely. Don't want a messy crit or a bestial failure in this situation.
We stay fed. That's what we do in this coterie.
We do. It's probably a wise idea, considering how rapidly this could fall apart if your beast got even a moment of control.
So, do the words messy critical mean anything to you?
Messy crit. So, assuming you don't want the willpower and try to fix it.
Do I have 10 successes?
10 successes is definitely a lot.
I feel like this is a worthwhile messy critical.
Oh, most certainly indeed.
And I think if it's 10 successes, I'm not gonna avoid. I'm gonna leave it as messy.
Moving as a blur, you impose yourself between the priest and Barry and the raging gangrel as she charges forwards, her teeth snarling. You pull back your hand, and what was intended to be a punch to the rib to knock her out of the way, to knock some sense into her, becomes so much more as the adrenaline of the seed flows through your veins, as the alcohol that's currently pumping through your body hijacks your senses, and your emotions turn into blind anger. You're vaguely aware of the beast roaring, demanding blood be spilled, and the next thing you know, thwack! 10 successes to her 5 successes, and you've got prowess activated. That's going to be 5 points of superficial damage to her as thunk, she goes flying through the air, hits the side of the yellow Toyota with a crash, and as she does so, the other gangrel roars. And then suddenly his hand begins to twist and warp, his fingernails growing, lengthening into long talons as he too charges in, battle joined.
May I add something?
Yes, Wisteria, what would you like to add?
I'm guessing that the employee was in the bathroom when she slipped in, yeah? Cleaning?
Sure is. He's got a mop. The mop is absolutely crimson red with the volume of blood.
Cool. She pretty much shuts the door, locks it, and breaks the lock. And if she's got time to turn around to see this debacle, she'll tap at the gangrel as he passes by from behind the glass and give him the eyes of the serpent. The charging one.
Ka-thunk! Hey, what the? Hey, fuck! Open! Open the fucking door! Bang, 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 bang! You hear as you run across the store, sliding over the counter, just as the male gangrel forms his feral weapons and sprints past. And go ahead. Roll your eyes of the serpent.
Oh, let's see. I've never actually used this one. What's the dice pool?
Eyes of the serpent will be... Let me see. Discipline powers. Presence. I should know this off by heart because I used it all the time with Tommy. I would like you to go ahead and roll charisma plus presence, and it will be against his wits plus composure.
Right. We'll throw on awe as well. Oh no, I'm sorry. Never mind, I don't have that one yet.
I only have eyes
Okay.
of the beast.
Yeah, she's got awe and she's got weight of the feather. Alright. We'll just let him go then. Not much she can do.
Let him go. You raise your hand trying to get his attention, but he pays no attention. He sprints right past, raising his curved talon in the air, ready to bring it down upon his enemy. Barry, what are you doing? In your left hand, Simon Essler is squirming, trying to wrench himself away while he's trying to flick his knife at you to stab you so he can get himself released. Meanwhile, Gil's in front of you, ready to fend off the gangrel when and if they approach. But 2 against 1 doesn't seem very fair to you.
I'm just going to... My main prerogative is to keep Simon in my clutches.
Yes.
Any way I can, like, if I can disarm him, or if I can, like, slam his head into the ground and knock him out for a bit. I don't know how that works with Kindred.
Yep, so you're just going to try to subdue him, not knock him out, at least just stun him so you have so that he's not trying to stick you like a pig and you're able to, like, hold him in place.
Exactly, and get into a position where, ready myself for the gangrel that's coming towards me.
Meanwhile, Gil, what are you doing? One of them's on the ground, slowly rising to her feet. The other one's charging at you, his feral weapons active.
Gil's gonna try not to get clawed. I'm assuming after 30 years of being a vampire, he knows what gangrel claws are like.
Definitely. Alright then. So, let's do it in this order. Gil, go ahead and roll me a Dex Athletics to dodge out of the way. And then we'll get to the others.
I am going to reroll failures on that one, because that's only 1 success.
Oh yeah, you're definitely going to want to re-roll that, I think.
Much better at 3.
3 successes to his 3 successes. He raises the talon, screaming, and as he brings it down, you swerve to the left and kick out with your foot. Your foot strikes his rib, and you hear something crack as the talon comes down, and the very tip of it sears your chest, and you both take a point of superficial damage. Meanwhile, Barry, you've still got him by the neck and you're dragging him closer to the back of the car, and it's like that scene in The Simpsons where Homer's slamming Barney's head against the door trying to knock him out. But as you raise his head ready to smash it against the door, he snarls, and once again his eyes gleam bright yellow as he looks into yours, and he shouts, "The Lord demands an eye for an eye!" Barry, I would like you to either spend another willpower to shut this domination down, or go ahead and roll your composure plus intelligence to resist.
No.
Meanwhile, what's happening? This doesn't. Again? How much willpower have you got left?
2.
2? Ooh. So 1 away from being impaired. He opens his mouth. Bible verses begin to flow at a rapid pace as he tries his best to demontate you. And once again, your sire's potent blood hardens in your veins. You grit your teeth and shut him down. Go ahead and roll Strength Brawl.
Four successes.
4 successes. 4 successes to his total failure. Still stunned. Still spouting an seemingly endless tirade of furiously spat Bible verses. You slam his head into the corner of the car boot, and there's a crack, a gasp of pain as he finally drops his knife. It clatters to the ground. He continues struggling, still conscious, as he takes 2 points of superficial damage, but he is still awake, still conscious. But with that knife out of his hand, you're able to get a better grip on him, slide behind his back, grab him, wrapping your arms around his shoulders and hold him in place as he feebly struggles, shouting to the night air, to the chaos around him.
What did I tell you, Simon?
Next.
What did I tell you?
You make your heart cold to the Lord!
Do you think you can fuck with me, Simon? And I
The
slam
Lord
I
is-
slam the car door on him.
Slam.
Do you think you can fuck with me?
Thunk! He gasps in pain, feebly struggling again. But this time, he doesn't say anything. The Lord have a countenance, Lord have patience. He begins praying under his breath as the 2 gangrel begin to advance upon all of you. Wisteria, next round, what are you doing?
Well, I saw where the camera was, so I'll go and cut the feed. Might be too low, too late.
Go ahead and make me an intelligence technology roll.
One success.
1,
Do I want willpower?
go ahead.
2 successes.
2
It's a convenience
successes.
store camera. It shouldn't be too bad.
You're wedged between 2 piles of cardboard boxes and the crowded desk in the little manager's office. Your fingers slamming over a keyboard. If only Zarya was here. If only Zarya was...
See, I
There
had
it
more of
is.
an idea. I wasn't trying to do it by computer. I was going to go take out the physical camera. Does that make a difference?
Oh, yeah, certainly. You're smashing your fingers against the keyboard, wishing Zarya was with you, and then as you see 3 different coloured wires extending from the back of the computer up into a little receptacle in the wall,
making
you
this too complicated.
smile.
Aren't I? Yes, I am.
You reach up, grab the wires, and pull. Something rumbles within the wall, and then you pull out 3 wires, sparks still flying from the end of them. And that's enough to tell you that the camera is well and truly cactus. Australian slang for fucked.
One breach averted. Why, thank you, Wisteria. I don't know what we'd do if you went there, Wisteria. You always cover the angles, Wisteria, said no one ever. And she wanders out the back door.
Out in the parking lot, the female gangrel climbs to her feet, and just like her companion, her fingernails begin to lengthen, twist, curve into talons. The two exchange glances, and then they roar as they charge towards Gil, Simon, and Barry. Gil, what are you doing?
Gil's just going to keep trying to dodge claws. He's trying not to get clawed up because he's still hurt from last time.
He is. Perhaps he'd like to rouse the blood to heal some of it, because I allow you to do that in addition to whatever you're doing.
That's not a bad idea. Let's do that.
So what's the game plan, Gil? Just keep dodging them, wait for them to tire themselves out and mop up then? Or are you going to meet their anger and power with your own?
Yeah, so Gil gets hungrier. But yeah, he is trying to, like, if he can, make swipes at them as they're trying to swipe at him.
Yeah. Just as well, says the beast, as you feel those pangs of hunger. We're spilling blood anyway. And Barry, what are you doing? You're still holding the priest in your arms. He's feebly struggling, praying under his breath, but seems to not be making any attempts to actively fight you anymore.
Well, storyteller, could you do me a favor and explain what the limitations of a compel are?
So I would say compel, it's not mesmerize, so the command has to be simple, usually 1 or 2 words. Aside from that, there isn't any limitation. You just have to look him in the eyes, and if he resists, succeed on the roll.
Okay.
If he's lower generation than you, he can shut it down, and you know for a fact that he's not, because the opposite is in fact true.
Okay, alright. And so one of them's on Gil and one of them's on me?
Yeah. They seem to be just charging generally in your direction, but you think it would be the smart thing, one of them to go for you, one of them to go for Gil.
I'm going to compel one, and I'm going to look them in the eyes, and I'm going to command them to say, kneel.
Kneel. You watch for a few precious seconds as Jacob and Toya charge towards you, both of them raising their talons in the air, ready to swipe. They exchange glances again and nod and then split off. Toya swapping spots with Jacob as she rushes for Gil. And then her male counterpart sprints in your direction. And just as he's about to bring the talon down and strike you center mass, you meet eyes with him. A split second is all that's needed. Go ahead, roll me charisma plus dominate. And with your level of blood potency, I believe you get an extra dice on that as well.
I guess so. It's good, because I think I might need it.
Yeah, blood potency
charisma plus
2 gives
dominate.
you an extra dice.
Okay. Wish me luck.
Good luck. That is a crit,
Oh, nice.
not a messy crit, I hope. No, you're not hungry. You're at 0 hunger.
No,
That's
hunger
a
die
crit.
for me.
5 successes outdoes his 3 successes. As he raises the talon, bares his fangs, and lets out a roar, you command him a single sharp word, kneel. And he stops. His face screws up in concentration as he tries to fight, tries to resist, and then he shouts, "No!" as he drops to his knees in front of you, curling into a ball shape at your feet. And then, Gil, It's just Toya left, bleeding, staggering from the rib you broke earlier. She shouts something incomprehensible as her eyes flash red, with the beast on the verge of fury frenzy. She begins to flail her feral weapons wildly, cutting the air in front of you. Go ahead and make me a strength brawl check. And you do still have prowess active, so you can go ahead and add your potence as well.
That's another messy critical. 10 successes. I am not going to mess with it. Like, if I'm getting 10 successes, I'm not messing with the messy critical. Like, that can stay.
That's fair.
Yeah, not messing with the messy critical.
Hope she invested in 40.
Yeah. 10 to her 5 successes. Spill all of her blood, spill it! Roars the beast. As she roars back at you, you duck under her flailing talon and kick out at her knee. You hear something crack, her kneecap crumbles. She screams in pain and topples forwards. And as she does, you leap forwards, catching her arm, the one that ends in the feral weapon, in midair. And as you throw yourself on top of her, you press the talon down, pointing the curve inwards towards her. She takes 3 points of superficial damage and is now impaired, but the beast is telling you further, further, further. As you press her talon into her neck, you draw blood that begins to flow freely from the wound, painting the leather vest she wears a deep crimson. And you feel the hunger frenzy coming on, Gil. What do you do?
Oh.
Let me know if I have an action.
Yeah, meanwhile, Wisteria, you're hearing lots of shouts coming from outside.
Wisteria opens all the pumps. Beep. She walks out there, grabs 2 of the gas nozzles, and starts hosing everyone down. It says, "Get off!"
Wisteria,
and then she drops one of the nozzles and pulls out a lighter. Or else.
How many dots in dexterity do you have, Wisteria?
4.
And how many do you have, Gil?
3?
3. Wisteria.
I'm tired. I'm done. And we're talking this out. God damn it.
Sorry, 2. I mistook myself, yeah? Yeah, 2.
You bare your fangs, Gil, and the beast eggs you on. Yes, yes, no sweeter vintage. Yes, do as Mickey did. Take their blood, take it! And before you have a chance to decide whether you want to ride the wave or fight back, you hear a loud hiss as Wisteria unravels the long hose from the car wash beside the parking lot and sprays you with the force of a fireman's hose.
Him, the gangrel, Barry, Simon gets one in the face. The kneeling gangrel. And she stands there, lighter in hand, going, "Stop now."
Wisteria, go ahead. Make me a charisma intimidate check at a bonus dice, because there's petrol all over the concrete. The place reeks of gas, and that lighter is no prop.
Getting hungrier, using all. Boosted charisma. That'll be 4 successes.
4 successes. You're not quite sure what happens. It all happens so fast. All you know is that 1 second, people are fighting, fists are colliding, bones are breaking, vampires are snarling on the edge of frenzy, and the next, Wisteria, you're standing there, the fireman's hose in one hand, the lighter in the other, as Gil, the 2 gangrel, and Barry lie sprawled in front of the Toyota, drenched in water,
Water?
lying in pooling.
No, that's gasoline,
petrol.
my friend.
Well, I thought it was the gasoline's leaking out of the pump while you're spraying him with a hose. So either way.
Oh no, she sprayed
yeah.
everyone down with gas.
Yeah, everyone drenched in noxious smelling fumes. And suddenly, everything is quiet. Gil, you're snapped back from the edge of frenzy. You realize where you are, pinning the gangrel to the ground. You smell the gas, smell the petrol, and realize wisteria means business.
Simple terms. One of yours died. You killed the guy who did it. 1 for 1. Him. He's an accomplice. He's a worm. But by the fact he's still alive, I'm assuming Barry still wants, or Gil still wants him, yes? Is this the case? Nod your heads, or shake them.
Gil will kind of nod and try and take a few steps away from the pool of petrol at his feet.
We have a prior claim on this man. He owes us. You can have him when we're done, and not a minute before. Might take some time. Is this acceptable to you? Nod or shake your head.
One gangrel lies on the ground underneath Gil, who only now is finally sliding off her body, wincing in pain, bleeding from the neck, from her chest, her own talon having ripped her face to shreds. The other gangrel still lies in a heap at Barry's feet. Both of them whimper. It sounds something like a sound of ascent.
She tosses them each a blood bag, gently scooting it across the ground.
Barry, the priest...
You're in Anarch domain now. There are no rules, save for those we make. None. She closes the lighter. But even still, he did wrong. And trust me, she says, baring her fangs. He's going to wish we'd let you rip him to shreds by the time we're done with him.
Barry, the priest still struggles feebly in your arms.
Is everyone happy?
And the Lord said...
Except for him, he doesn't count. Is everyone happy?
Please don't throw me to the wolves! Lord!
Oh, for the love of
mercy!
Could somebody put, like, a rag in his mouth? I don't have rags. I have Louis Vuitton. Could somebody put rags in his mouth, please?
Barry's just gonna close the door on him again, knock him out.
Slam.
Yes, do that until he stops moving. That sounds like a good idea.
Kathunk.
Anyway.
Kathunk. It takes 3 tries until finally he hangs limp in Barry's arms, silent at last.
Alright, here's what's going to happen. He's going in the trunk of your car, Barry. You two are going with Gil. We'll drive you back to town. I'll pay for a hotel for you two to get properly cleaned up. No questions asked. I'll leave you my number. You can call me. We can talk about what you want to do then, or you can fuck off. Sound good? She says to the gangrel.
They peer up at you from the floor. It only takes a few seconds for them to weigh up their options, but it feels much longer. They stare at each other, back at you, back at the now limp, unprotesting priest, to Barry, to Gil, and then finally Toya bares her fangs and winces, and through the pain she nods.
Alright.
We go our separate ways. You vouch for us. Keep us safe from the cam. And we let the priest go.
For now. If he steps out of line.
If he steps out of line, says the male gangrel, you let us know.
We'll help you hunt him down. We'll do it gladly. Alright. Come. Barry, I'm riding with you.
The male gangrel rises to his feet. He sniffs at the petrol. And then Barry, he approaches you. He peers down at the unconscious priest with obvious contempt on his face. And as he watches the others turn and walk away back to the parking lot, he smiles. What's your game with him, anyway? Why all this? To save the unlife of a worm like that?
It's like you said. Final death. It's too good for you. Can you imagine an unlife filled with debts to lowly little gangrels like yourself and me, Barry Marwood? Be best to remember.
Marwood, eh? Marwood, he says. Marwood. And then something seems to occur to him. You see something click behind his eyes. He smiles, lets out a whistle. Oh, yes. Now it all makes sense. Barry Marwood. Oh, you've got it as bad as we do. Vengeance. You won't stop till you get it, right?
No, but I'm not an idiot like you. I don't waste a lead just by some privy little impulse. I play the long game. And we can help each other out with that.
We can.
Stay out of trouble.
He nods. Then he turns, follows Toya and the others. He let out a sigh, and then with a grunt, hoists the priest up onto your shoulder and follow the others back to the car park, back to where Sarah Dassey waits. Terrified, but no longer in danger of death. And as she sees you approach, you look over at her, peering through the back window of the car, and you see it once again, for a split second. Lyra's face.
You okay?
She nods silently, and then you feel the unmistakable warmth of Fern's hand on your shoulder, clasping, gripping. You look over your shoulder and you're still on the edge of the car park now. The others have gathered around the vehicles, loudly discussing what's to happen next, celebrating this small victory. And Fern's standing there, in the middle of the service station, where he wasn't before. He smiles. He says, "You did well, babe."
Thanks, huh?
Big fuckers thought they could get the best of you, but they don't know the breed of cop they're dealing with. And that bloke you got with you, Gil, he's just as big as hot-headed as the best of them.
Yeah, you watch those eyes of yours, hon.
He winks, smiles, and laughs. Squeezes your shoulder one more time, and then you hear him step away. And when you look over your shoulder, he's gone. And that's where we'll conclude the session. And this story. The sad story of Mickey Mayhew. It's business as usual over the next few nights. You check in with Lynette, tell her what transpired, and...
Werewolves.
Ooh!
Nothing anyone could have done.
"Oh, lupines!" she says excitedly, her face immediately flushed, her eyes glimmering at the veritable leprechaun's gold of gossip you've just dropped in her lap. "Yeah, I'll vouch for the gangrel," she says. "If they're fighters like that, if they can stand toe-to-toe with a werewolf, one that Mickey Mayhew couldn't fend off at that, then they'll be valuable assets in the nights to come." You were all granted some rewards. First, from Lynette, a minor boon of your choice to be cashed in when you feel is appropriate. And also, as promised, she allows you to adopt Mickey Mayhew's haven as your own. Whether you want to sleep there or simply feed upon what was once his herd, she doesn't care. Just, make sure it's ready for when I ever need to slum it, she says. And so I'd like each of you to go ahead and add a dot of herd to your character sheets to represent this little apartment block that no longer has Mickey Mayhew to rule over it, which means it will now serve a new master, you. And one dot of herd isn't a lot, but when you need to feed in a hurry, when hunting itself becomes dangerous, when pickings are slim as winter descends upon Buckley, being able to stop by that apartment block and take what you need without worrying about poaching, without worrying about breaking rules, from humans who've been conditioned to give you what you want, may be immeasurably useful. Wisteria, you also have earned a minor boon at the hands of Simon Estler. Just you, though Barry, as promised, you may add Simon Estler as a 1-dot mauler to be used whenever you are gathering information on a given individual. Finally, for completing the story, you all get 5 experience points. And as we close, we move to a short epilogue. A broad-shouldered man in a trench coat clutches a gnarly woodman's hatchet in his right hand. Concealed in the tree line, he squints, peering at the gleaming neon signs of the service station. He watches as the coterie climb into their vehicles, as the unconscious priest is shoved into a back seat, as the gangrel snarl and leap across the road back into the wilderness. And he smiles as he turns and walks into the darkness. He mutters, "And that's what you get for not paying your debt." Intriguing, Barry Marwood. Most intriguing. I'll remember how easily you found him. Creatures Such as We is a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition actual play podcast presented by DM Fiat. Creatures Such as We is based on a sourcebook by Brian Holland, available at the Storyteller's Vault. Vampire the Masquerade rules are developed by Onyx Path Publishing and Paradox Interactive and published by Renegade Studios. Portions of the materials are the copyrights and trademarks of Paradox Interactive AB and are used with permission. All rights are reserved. For more information, please visit worldofdarkness.com. The music used in this podcast is composed by Kevin MacLeod, Whitebat Audio, and Ivan Duke, and is used with permission.